Hello there, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Anthony Islas, and today I'll be talking a little bit about divine intervention. And before we get into that, I want to give you a verse of scripture, and this is in Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And it says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose." And that's in Romans chapter 8, verse 28. You probably heard of the saying of how things happen for a reason. Well, pretty sure plenty of us have been there, done that, wondering how come it never turned out this way or that way. Well, it's either because it's for our safety, or maybe there's a higher calling, or some things weren't meant to be. And many of you might have not even heard of this movie. Maybe you have there, but there's this movie called The Adjustment Bureau. If you haven't seen it, well, definitely check it out. But for those of you who have there, if you know how the story goes, where how these guys there that are scoping out Matt Damon and making sure that he's on the proper course there, since I guess he plays a crucial role in the future. Yeah, I guess he's supposed to basically be this governor or something. But anyways, then along the way he falls in love with this woman there, but the guys that are spying on him, he's saying, nah, she's not part of the plan there, and they're trying to put him back on that course of action. And I think what's interesting enough there, this is one of Philip K. Dick's earlier works, and if you see the movie, well, kind of reminds you of how the angels operate, and making sure that we're on this intended course of action. And it might not always be what we intended or what we want there, but the reason why I'm probably still stuck in the middle of nowhere is because Lord knows in advance there how bad things are going to get there in the major cities and all that. And, it's not the most pleasant either, like especially in the times we live in and where we're at. And the fact that I always intended to get into the film industry, that's probably for my safety as well, especially what's being exposed there. I think it's interesting. The family's had a history of this too, there with divine intervention. And see, my abuela, she was originally supposed to be a nun, but the Lord had other plans for her. And so, I guess she met my abuelo, and they got married and had a family and everything. This was on my father's side of the family. On my mother's side, I guess, since my great-grandfather, he was very well known in Peru and basically almost legendary. But anyways, just one day, I guess he got arrested because he was accused of being a traitor, but I guess the Lord sent an angel his way saying, yeah, don't worry, you got nothing to fear there, it's not your time, and he'll die an old man. And surely enough there, my great grandmother, I guess, she presented his case to a friend there that, I guess he was a political figure there, and I guess during the trial, I guess she say like these war medals saying there, like, yeah, if he was a traitor, would he fought for his country? And I guess the reason why he got thrown in prison because his so-called friends, they're like, I guess they got him drunk there and had him sign this thing there that saying that he was a traitor. And I don't know whatever happened to them, but I'm pretty sure the Lord dealt with them later on. But overall, the Lord still has a plan for us all. Anyways, when we go further down the line, my mother even had prophetic dreams there that she'll one day meet my father. She didn't know who he was there, but she already knew there that that was the man that she was going to be with the rest of her life. And now here I am telling you these stories, and this is coming from someone who wasn't even supposed to exist, because doctors told my mother there that she could never have children. But my brother and I are living results there that, hey, doctors don't know everything. And here I am telling you these stories there as a watchman and someone who's worked a little in the industry. And of course, yeah, years ago I was kind of adrift there, and when I was called to be a watchman, after my project had failed to lift off, it's interesting how Robert Breaker was brought back into my life too, and I watched a lot of him in my earlier days, and then I was led to Walter B. Shepard over at the Gospel Stuff, where he shares his dreams and experiences about the millennial reign and beyond. I think the good Lord knew what I'd be interested in to get me more into the ministry and cover subject matters there that not everybody talks about. Anyways, I figured today's verse would be fitting, for today's subject there, especially since, a while back, I actually saw my filmmaking mentor, Alex Ferrari, over at Indie Film Hustle, studying near-death experiences and interviewing guests there, but unfortunately, a lot of his guests there, I think they're following false doctrines. I think it's interesting how he was developing a spiritual walk around the same time there I was as a watchman. Of course, I do hope there that he does find the good Lord somehow, because I remember when I used to watch his podcasts, it sounds like he's into some of those doctrines there with the New Age stuff, and the fact that he was influenced by New Age authors. Yeah, I hope he comes out of that soon, because he does have some interesting stories there. I remember in his book there, he talks about how this ex-mob guy hired him to do his biography, apparently, when he was in the mafia. But in my opinion, I think that was just a front to rip off the investors. But yeah, it is a pretty interesting book, and hopefully one day maybe he'll adapt it. It's really fun to read there, and he's met some actors, producers, and anyways, back to the subject matter of divine intervention. I think it's interesting that near-death experience, I covered about it there, about the possibility of being able to relive parts of your past and trying to redo it, and I'd have more discernment with stuff like that there, because for all we know, he's probably seeing into the future, probably into the new heaven, new earth. So I do keep Deuteronomy 29:29 in mind as well, because I know there's mysteries that we don't fully know about, and sometimes it's for our safety and to keep us humble. And anyways, I don't want to rant too much there, and I'll try to keep it as short as possible. But if you haven't already, if you're lost out there, call upon Jesus today and trust the gospel. 1 Corinthians 15:1-4. Jesus died, he was buried, and rose again on the third day, according to the scriptures. The moment you believe that, you're sealed to the day of redemption. My advice, do it now, because none of us are promised tomorrow anyways. We could be gone in the coming hours, even as we speak. So you do that, you'll never regret it. Anyways, I know the Lord still has a plan for us all, and I think he wanted me to use my gifts and talents for his glory, and I know we have ways to go, and I'll probably only be able to do that when we get to heaven, the millennial reign and beyond. And it was an interesting experience to show there that, you know, how the gifts and talents of making movies can be used for his glory. And you know, I still have a concept there that I could even make it align there with his will, and especially discovering what I like to call supernatural technology, because the technology we had down here, it's only a foreshadow of, you know, what it's capable of. Yep, and I think one of the reasons why he had me pull the plug on my project is because it wasn't meant to be, and plus I didn't have enough experience, and you know, that part I already got, and I already knew it was risky, but I already knew where we were at. And because sadly, you'd be surprised how many artists and individuals, you know, they just waste their life doing nothing, letting their gifts and talents just gather dust on the shelves there. And I know that the good Lord understands that too. And I knew if I didn't take a shot, you know, I could look back and regret not even trying to even get it going there. But anyways, I know he's got something better there, especially getting all the confirmations I did there with the Millennial Reign and beyond. And Sister Karine, yeah, she has this video about the healing room, and it gave me confirmation on this too there. You know, being able to build new memories, and I might cover that again there. I know I covered it on my previous channel, and yep, I probably would have undone some things too in my past there. I think for my documentary class, that was part of a curriculum for my film degree. You know, I probably would have, you know, had I found Walter B. Shepard years ago, since I think around that time he would have been making videos, you know, I definitely would have loved to have made a documentary about what the millennial reign and beyond would be like, and stuff beyond our wildest imaginations that we thought we would only be able to pull off in the movies. Anyways, those of you who are saved and are washed in the blood, get excited. Yep. Those of you watching the other channels there in the Watchmen community, including Chris at Global Ratchet Watchers, there's no signs of the Strait of Hormuz being opened up again. And talks about these lockdowns, and I don't believe we'll be here to see that, though. Because I think that shows how close they're, that the rapture is imminent still, and I don't think we have much longer. So, with all that said, if I don't see you again in this lifetime, I'll see you in the next. May God bless you.